the 9 Years Podcast.
All right, welcome to episode 64 of the 9 Years Podcast with Nick Draper and Stuart Deakins. Huge news breaking over the last few days, and we can't start the show without talking about it. There's nothing else really to mention at this moment in time. Stu, what is your reaction to the huge news that Seth Rollins is joining Team Raw for their big 5-on-5 elimination match against SmackDown at WWE Survivor Series?
Just total shock, Nick.
Do you think there's going to be a bit of friction between himself and Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens and his other Team Raw teammates?
I'm sure sparks will be flying at some point.
I'm sure they will be. We're very much looking forward to it. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg as well on that show. But that is what's on everyone's minds in America right now, I believe. There's nothing else going on, is there?
No, I think there's a bit of a cold spell coming in from the west into New York, I'm sure. It could be a bit bitter in America, I think, over the next couple of days.
With that in mind, should we go straight into our top sevens this week?
I think we should, mate.
I'll let you start.
Okay, so obviously we're being funny, but yeah, mine are very topical. So the top 7 Donald Trump promises in his presidential campaign. He obviously done a lot more, but these are my top 7. There was loads.
I look forward to it. I'm hoping amongst them are some sort of reference of abolishing or building a wall around Watford, maybe, and getting Watford to pay for it.
There's something about a wall, yes. So the first one was, if I become president, we'll all be saying Merry Christmas again. Random.
Why don't we say that already? Okay, anyway, you know what? If I start commenting on every single one, we're going to be here all night.
We could be. We could have a show just on Donald Trump. That would be fun. So the second one, again, these are no particular order. My favourites. I would take care of women. I'm sure you will.
Of women?
Women, ladies.
Okay, right, yeah.
He'd be unpredictable. No way. He will shut down the internet. Yep, that works in North Korea. He'll ensure that all Americans can still afford to play golf. Cracking policy. He will build a wall 1 foot taller than the Great Wall of China. So, of course, it's got to be bigger, of course. And he'll make the Mexicans pay for it. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Of course. And finally, this is the funny one I liked. He will continue to allow lowly paid foreign workers to come to the United States of America on a temporary visa because they are the only ones who will pick their grapes.
Wow.
Exactly. Where'd you go from there?
Where do you go from there? I'm sure we will come on to Donald Trump shortly again, Stu, or possibly throughout today's show.
Yes.
That's marvellous, isn't it?
I enjoyed researching them. I must admit, there was, I think, a website had about 100, and actually some were sensible, but hey, the sensible ones are not ones you want to know about, are they?
Probably not the ones that have been picked up in the media either, to be fair, but there you go. 9 Years Podcast Bingo. There's your first to be fair of the week.
Yeah, so what ones are yours?
My top 7 list?
That's correct.
Well, I thought there's a lot of stress in the world right now, a lot of tension, obviously. A couple of election results over the last few months that haven't gone quite according to plan for the majority, so I thought I'd lighten the mood and do something completely different. So I've gone for my top 7 film titles featuring former AFC Wimbledon players.
Ooh, cool.
Okay, so in no particular order. Let's start with the Andy Little Shop of Horrors, the Carly Osborne Identity, The Life of Marcus Gale, Main Spotting, The Inns Between Us, Men in Blackman, and Die Everard.
Love it.
Now I'm thinking, Stu, we could probably ask our listeners to come up with their own film titles featuring former AFC Wimbledon or Wimbledon FC players. There are loads out there, I'm sure, that I can think of.
Yeah, let's throw it open to our listeners.
Okay, we shall do that. Tweet us at 9YRS Podcast with your film titles featuring former AFC Wimbledon or Wimbledon FC players. For example, the animated, I think it was Disney Pixar film, Jup, about a man who flies his house on a load of balloons. Shall we move on?
I think we shall.
Just Stu and my good self again this week, back to just the two of us, and we're pretty much unscripted, aren't we, this week?
We are most weeks, to be fair, but this week we are severely not scripted.
Severely not scripted. The new tagline for the podcast. We are going to be talking about the games over the past week, the 2 cup games, one in the most prestigious cup competition in the world, or domestic cup competition in the world, the FA Cup, where we went to Bury, and then the other competition that we played in on Tuesday night away at Newport. You know, that competition that's been put in place for the benefit of the young English players, which has sent us to play 2 Welsh teams. But anyway, we'll be talking about those, academy and ladies update as well. We'll look ahead to the Oldham League game, and then I guess the Bury replay as well after that in the midweek. And we've got a few topics around the world of football, some topical topics. I guess topics have to be topical, otherwise they wouldn't be topics. I wonder. I want to look into the etymology of that word. But let's start with the Bury game, Stu, and the 2-2 draw. 2-0 down at half-time. Looked like there was no hope for us. You see what I did there? He scored, yeah, he scored both goals, yeah. But we came back into it. Lara Taylor, Tom Elliott equalising us, getting a replay. Before we get into the game itself, there was a few changes, weren't there? Do you think the team changes for the Bury game were done with the rules of the Checkatrade EFL Trophy competition in mind, where we have to play a certain number of players that started our last game?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that, because Nuardi's alluded to it in all the interviews he'd done leading up to the Bury game, and also leading into the Newport game. A bit frustrating, because we go on to it in a little while, but other teams have severely taken the mickey. I think Rochdale have got a 5-year-old mascot on the bench tonight. I think Bristol Rovers had one of their directors on the bench. So no one's really... And you wonder, I don't know whether actual teams are being fined. I know Luton have chanced their arm a few times, but they're bottom of their group anyway, so I'm not too sure whether the Checkatrade or even the Football League are too worried about them. But you do wonder sometimes, do we just take the fine? But I know there's obviously some money behind it, so we have been a bit selective. It does concern me a little bit. I would rather play our strongest team. However, Nuardi does always mix up a bit anyway.
He does like to make changes here and there, and, as you say, keep the team fresh. The biggest change seemed to be the inclusion of Tyrone Barnett as a starter, and then Tom Elliott came on to replace him later in the game. And many fans that were in attendance said that was the key moment in the game for us.
Yeah, Tom Elliott's just playing so well at the moment, isn't he? And I think it's also on the back of Barnett not playing as well. They're 2 different types of players in terms of their energy levels. They both play the same sort of role in terms of that sort of target man to hold the ball up. But there's no question at this moment in time that Tom Elliott is miles ahead of Barnett in terms of being able to play that role, his work rate and everything like that. So Barnett is going to be... He's not going to be able to hide behind it, because Tom, whether he starts or whether he comes on, is noticeably just playing at a very higher level at the moment.
Other noticeable changes for that very game saw Chris Robertson in for Will Nightingale, Tom Beer with a start as well. Now, Tom's started to come back into the first team picture, hasn't he? And Neil Arley's keen to get him involved.
Yeah, like Neil said before, isn't it? He wants to be able to trust his players. Tom Beer, as I've said many times before, always rate him highly. It was just really his energy levels and his real just in between games of making sure he was still sharp, fit, ready to go, match fit. And I think this year he's showing that he is, so he's getting more opportunities. Still think at the moment, probably trying to find a position for him. He can play out wide right, where he was last season when he got opportunities, but the way we're playing a 4-3-3, we're going to have to trust him in those central areas. So it's a tougher role for him. It's a role he's done the under-21s for a couple of years now and done very well. I think he's still got a little bit to do. I wouldn't say he's anywhere near being automatic choice, but it's great now that we're able to utilise our squad and put him in here and there.
Now, is it just me, but news of us being 2-0 down in the first half seemed to indicate to many that we were already out of the competition. A lot of our fans thought it was game over, didn't see us coming back into it. Generally, though, when I'm not at a game, but I'm getting news of us being behind early, I don't tend to panic. I think, actually, fairly regularly, we seem to always come in and get results out of these games. From memory, I'm thinking maybe a trip to Carlisle a couple of years ago, where you actually took the lead, didn't we? We were behind and 4-2 down, but you never felt like we were out of the game. Accrington Stanley, famously, in the league last season, very early doors we were behind, but we came back into it. We do have a great team spirit, don't we? And Neil Ardley manages to make changes that influence the game when things aren't going quite according to plan.
Yeah, you hit it nail on the head there. I think, we're never out of games because our substitutions, apart from if we were looking really, Sheffield United didn't give us that impetus that we wanted. I think Sheffield United are a little bit of a different animal. They are a better team than most. But you're right, once we make those changes, and we tend to make, if you look at Saturday, for argument's sake, we made the changes around the same sort of mark. At 55 minutes, we bring Elliot on for Barnett, and then we make a double sub in 64 minutes. So we're always giving them around about half an hour, 25 minutes to make an impact. So I think, and then players, we've said before, our bench is reasonably strong. So when we do bring these players on, they are offering something different. And the beginning of last season, I didn't think our subs actually were that different. They weren't really able to make the impact. But if you look at the subs that we bought on Saturday, you bring on Weltdale for Frankham, Parrott for Tom Beer, and Tom Elliott. They're impact players. They're massive impact players. And I'm like you. I really think we're stronger later on in the game. We've proved it already this season.
Flip side to that being our record in the FA Cup is not particularly good. In fact, we heard the other day, didn't we, that we've not actually ever won a first-round FA Cup tie as AFC Wimbledon at the first time of asking.
No, it's an interesting stat, wasn't it? But when you actually think back to it, you can, we've had the trips to York and stuff like that. So you can see actually, there is some truth to that. We've had some rubbish draws as well, but we tend to do well in the return replay, which is normally at home. So I'm reasonably confident against Bury. I think their chance was Saturday. You're 2-0 up, and I think their fans. I've been looking on their guest book recently. Quite a lot over the last couple of weeks because we're always playing them, it seems. And I think their fans feel that as well, that actually they played above the levels that they have over the last sort of 6-7 games. And I think to not hold that 2-0 lead, I think we're favourites naturally going into the replay.
Yeah, I tend to think so as well, but obviously we'll come on to that a little bit later on in the show when we look ahead to the week coming. Before we talk about the Newport game, we'll tidy up the Bury game with a few 3-word reports and the man of the match poll. Let's start with the man of the match poll. And Stu, who do you think won the poll? Without even giving you the list of options, think if you can try and work it out.
I'm putting it over Tom Elliott.
Correct. 67% of the vote.
Yeah.
Lyle Taylor was closest with 23%, which meant the remaining 10% was shared out between Barry Fuller and Andy Barcham, 6% and 4% respectively. Mark Ayers, at Mark Ayers, all one word, who went for Don's Gooseberry. Like gooseberry.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, see, I did enjoy that one. Paul Raymond, member of the podcast team, at Paul N. Ray. He started a ball rolling actually this week. He went for In the Hat.
Rubbish, that.
Yeah, Paul, that was shocking actually.
Shocking, mate, shocking. Stick to your day job, Paul.
Yeah. It did just get me thinking. I was thinking, of course, that's what we have to take away from it. We do go into the second round draw. Well, we did go into the second round draw, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So thank you very much, Paul. That was a good one. And Timothy Green, at Timothy_Green, head and buried.
I like that.
Because, we do seem to score a lot of headers against Bury.
Yeah, we do.
And that was Tom Elliott's equalising goal this time, alongside the headed equaliser from Lyle Taylor in the league game and the headed winner from Jonathan Meads. Do you remember a few years ago playing Bury at home, actually? And I think they were really struggling at the time. I think it might have been Gary Flickroff came in. Might have been when he took over them and they were struggling at the foot of the table.
Yeah.
And they won 1-0 at Kings Meadow with an injury time winner.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that sticks in the memory.
They've been a difficult team to play, haven't they, really? They've done well. Obviously got out of League 2 as well, didn't they? So, been a difficult team to play, but I think we've dealt with them reasonably well this year. We might have got them, to be fair, in the right time of the season, or the right month of the season, as it seems like all their games can be played against them.
As it seems to be. Now, listeners might be able to help us out at 9Wire as podcast on Facebook or anything, because when I read head and buried, I think of buried as in dead and buried, and I think, isn't there some link between Bury and a graveyard or something? Isn't one of their ends named after a cemetery or something along those lines? I swear this is true. Something is ringing a bell in my head for this.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I can't quite grasp it, but hopefully someone out there will be able to help us out. And that moves us on to the Newport game. The first question of which I have, Stu, James Shea, was he injured or was he tactically injured?
Yeah, I think it was just some elaborate show to make. You know what we're like? We don't like to be seen to be openly flouting rules. Because we're just not like that. We like to play by the rules and that sort of thing. So I just think it's some elaborate show that, he had an ankle injury. It's very difficult to get anything really on it because there wasn't many people at the game. So I've not been as brave and asked people at the club whether he did go down with a. Let's be fair, a very easy knock to go off, but I think it was. They're saying that he's fine for Saturday. Well, if he's fine for Saturday, there probably wasn't much in it on the game.
Now, for a competition that is almost universally hated, there were a few talking points to come out of it. Obviously, we had a situation where another official was needed from the stands at one point due to an injury. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but somebody filled in, didn't they? They managed to find someone to be a fourth official for the rest of the game.
They did, yes.
Do we know? Was it Lawrence Loan?
There was some friendly banter going on when the Twitter message come out that our own Lawrence Lown could go and show him a thing or two. But I'm sure he was pretty wrapped up warm in the press area because I'd imagine it was pretty cold because there was just Newport is not a warm place. I think it's just generally cold all year round. It's just got that permanent cloud over it, isn't it? Apologies, people who live in Newport. But yeah, it did seem strange. I just think you're right. The competition is just a joke at the moment, isn't it? It's I don't know about you, but obviously we're recording this on Wednesday evening as the final group games are being played. But on Tuesday night, all I saw was pictures of empty grounds in terms of Derby, Blackburn, Rovers, Stoke, Chelsea. It's just words. No matter how much the English Football League want to promote this tournament, the pictures are just damning them.
Well, that was going to be my point. They did very well to find anyone to take over as a linesman or a fourth official or female lady lines person, whatever you want to call them, because there was nobody in the stadium. There was nobody there. Officially, has the attendance actually been officially announced yet? Now, we've got wind of what it was, but has this been anywhere put properly by any club, by Newport? Have they actually come out and admitted what the attendance was?
Newport haven't. Our official site has. On the official match report, we did put down what the figure was. So that's only real place we've got it from. And I think they're saying about 40 Wimbledon fans. But to be honest with you, I probably imagine they're probably including people like Rocket and Trev and Neil Ardley and along the numbers, because I don't think there was hardly anybody there. No one that I know, apart from official club representatives, went to that game. And why would you? On a Tuesday night in Newport?
Moving swiftly on, we did lose that game to Newport.
Did we?
Well, apparently so.
I didn't
even really notice.
I lost track of it all.
Apparently we lost. I think it was 2-0.
Okay.
Goals were scored by Newport players, and the whole exercise was pretty pointless, and probably a journey that everyone involved with our club could have done without, to be honest. But there we go. We were already through. We'd won our first two group games. Hilariously, was it actually Glyn Hodges at Stoke who came out with a quote about the group stages saying, well, the group stages in this competition have never been well attended. What group stages in this competition? When did we ever have group stages before this season?
Yeah. When did he even know about the tournament before they mentioned the idea? It's just sometimes people, if they're in football, should just concentrate on their job. Their job is, his job is to develop the youth, but don't comment on things that you just openly know are rubbish. That sort of side of it. But yeah, although Stoke, to be fair, Stoke. There's I'm forgetting now who it is, but wasn't it Blackburn last night who scored a goal, and it was one of the Twitter sites said a 28-year-old passed it to a 29-year-old who scored a goal for the Blackburn under 21 team. Yeah, and it was just, there you go. That's it in a nutshell. Nothing else has to be said. That's the joke of the tournament. What I would, and not to scare anybody here, but I will. There is a 1 in 7. Well, it depends how Checker Trade or the English Football League do their draw tomorrow, which is at 10:30, by the way, on Thursday morning. Sorry,
just to make sure they get maximum viewership for this competition, they're going to put it on at 10:30 on a weekday.
10:30 on Sky Sports News for people obviously downloading it this morning on Thursday. But it's a southern section, and we are guaranteed a home game against teams that have finished second. So bearing in mind that I don't think we should be able to draw Swansea again, who finished second in our group, we have a 1 in 6 chance of drawing Franchise.
It's going to happen as well. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah, and also with the way our fixtures work, where we tend to play teams who are due to play very soon in the league, the fixtures have to be played the week commencing the 5th, and we play Franchise at the end of that week.
You cannot make this stuff up, can you?
You can't, but it's obviously what's going to happen. So, yeah, let's deal with it. But at least we'll be at home so we can kick their proverbials all round Kings Meadow.
You gotta listen out for this gap. It's a famous name, but don't flap. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Celebrity two-word tango is something I've been looking to do on this show since we started it. Okay, so today is the day because we don't have a script. We have no idea where this show's going to end up, really. So we thought we'd give this a go. It came to me to do it this week because in putting together my top 7 list that we had earlier of former players, reminded me of many, many former women players, and I thought this would be a good game to play in Celebrity Two-Word Tango. So, Stu, have you played this game before?
No.
This is going to be great fun then. So, basically, I play the music. Every time it stops, we take it in turns to fill the gap with the name of somebody, a famous person, okay?
Okay.
So, should we have a practice run with this?
I think we may need to. I'm not great at these things sometimes.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
And then when the music stops the second time, you go. And the music gets quicker and quicker, and we have to think more quickly, okay?
Okay.
Let's see. Let's try and get about 5 done each.
Good luck.
Let's start with just anybody famous. All right?
Okay.
Anybody famous?
Is it me? Is it my turn now?
No, I'll go first. So when the music, I'll play the music now, and then when it stops, I'll go first, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
You gotta listen out for this gap. It's a famous name, but don't flap. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Ruth Langsford.
Vincent Jones.
Anne Diamond.
John Fashanu.
Peter Purvis.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Stop going on about Benjamin Netanyahu, Stu. You're never going to meet him.
I want to.
You can't just go a minute without mentioning him, can you? All right. Let's try that again. All right. Should we do Wimbledon players this time?
Okay, well, I was.
You were already, but let's go for specifically goal scorers in the Combined Counties League.
Oh, good luck.
This should be fun.
I can't think of it. Can I go first?
You can go first when I play the music, yeah. By all means. Do you know what? Should we try and at least get... This goes on for like 4 minutes. If we can get this whole way through, this will be amazing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a bit of leeway, I think, with some of the timings. You've got to really squeeze it into that gap, all right?
Okay.
All right. So are you going first?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
You gotta listen out for this gap. It's a famous name, but don't flap. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Kevin Cooper.
Seb Favata.
Matt Everard.
Sim Johnston.
Danny Okins.
Keith Ward.
Lee Sidwell.
Andy Sullivan.
Oh,
gee. How many did we get through there?
That went through most of the list.
There was loads I had backed up in my memory there. Oh,
yes,
wow.
but I think you may be cheating because you thought of the topic before.
Do you know what? I did think of the topic, but even then I was struggling. I was thinking, the next one I was going to have, did I say Keith Ward, or did I not get that one out?
You said Keith Ward.
Okay, so I was really struggling the next time. I think I was trying to think of the guy, Sean Marshall was his name. I was trying to think of him for some reason.
Shane Small King.
Of course. It's too late now.
Oh, I know, but now it's easier to remember them because I've had a bit of time to think like you had.
Okay. Do you want to try one more time?
Yeah.
We'll go. One more go. 10. We'll try and get through to. We'll see how far we get. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
You gotta listen out for this gap.
Who's going first?
Are we doing the same one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay. All right.
It's a famous name, but don't flap. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Kevin Cooper. Oh no, is that too early?
Oh man. Got to get it in the gap, Stu. Wow. Well, so to speak. You should know that by now at your age. Should we try again?
Oh, they're told to mind the gap.
Not the Watford gap. They need to mind the gap between Liverpool. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Anyway, right, let's go. Let's try again. You go first, right?
Okay.
Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Did you not hear the music?
Have I missed it?
Yes, you've totally missed it. To be honest, you've done a Simon Bassey and you've completely missed it.
Oh
wow,
that's another one.
Right, for the third time.
How long have you been wanting to do this thing for?
64 episodes. It was worth the wait, Stu. I promise you.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Hello, listeners, if you're still with us. I can't believe you've missed that again. I really can't believe you've missed that again.
I can hear it. I can hear it. I can't even claim that I'm not hearing it. Okay, let's go again.
The thing is, every time you're just saying Kevin Cooper first. So all you have to do is say Kevin Cooper in the gap. Oh, wow.
Oh, this is just too stupid.
Yes. That is another tagline for this great podcast of ours. We're just too stupid. Right. Do you want me to start the music from the very beginning? Will that help you?
I think that's the problem.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Let me try that then.
Okay.
You gotta listen out for this gap. It's a famous name, but don't flop. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Kevin Cooper.
Ali Russell.
Keith Ward.
Darren Dobinson.
Danny Okins.
Shane Small King.
Oh, Shane Small King again.
Oh, did I take your answer?
You may have.
Oh man, if you hadn't mentioned him, I wouldn't have thought of him.
Yeah, I know. See.
Oh wow. Okay.
How many did we get?
We got about 3. I think pretty rubbish first attempt, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, really, for my standard.
Okay, well, fair enough. If you're happy with that, I'm not going to disagree. Let's move on. Let's try that again next week. Let's think about the academy and the ladies. Have you got an update from those two?
Yeah, so the ladies didn't play this week, actually. As I quickly go back onto my notes. The ladies didn't play this week.
The best show ever.
You can tell this is not scripted. I think it's more fun when it's not scripted. Yeah, as I just try and blag time, though. So the ladies didn't play this week. They were due to play away to Norwich, but it got postponed due to the weather. So they had a free weekend. And from what I can see, the AFC Academy will probably, it won't be the Academy because that's not them. The AFC ladies will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we have a game this week as we were out of the cup. So unless they've arranged a friendly, which is not on their website, then I believe they go a week after, which I think they are playing Luton Town, Nick.
Yay.
Yeah, so let's see if the ladies are any better than their first team. I'm sure they are.
Just as long as there's a fence for me to sit on where I can watch the game from, it's fine.
So that's the ladies. Under 21s were due to play Sunday against Fulham at Kings Meadow. Actually, it was in the Premier League Under 23 Cup that we got through to the group stages because we've got them, Middlesbrough and Charlton, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But did get postponed purely because obviously we were playing Newport on Tuesday night and we didn't really want to be, a lot of players that were playing at 23s will be playing in Newport, so that was called off. And finally, the under-18s, obviously, during our show last week, we left them at 2-0, didn't we, up against North Greenford. It actually finished 8-1 in the end, and we've been drawn at home to Bristol Rovers in the second round. It's interesting, because actually the third round draw is actually on the 11th, which is Friday, but that's before the second round has been completed. Not too sure why the FA are doing that. So we will know basically our game against Bristol Rovers has got to be concluded by Saturday 19th of November. So one would think it would be obviously next week at Kings Meadow. And then we'll already know who we have in the third round where the Premiership teams enter. So Bristol Rovers doing well. They are in the South West League and they are second at the moment. So that's probably a tough game for us, but I'm sure it'll be at Kings Meadow and another decent crowd would turn up. However, like I say, they went into their league form still not doing too great. They lost 2-1 at Southend. Sorry, 2-1 at home to Southend on Saturday. So they're very much a mixed bag at the moment, but they are being disrupted mainly because a lot of the second years for the under-18s are just progressing and they're now in the 21s. So we're playing with a lot of first years this year in league games and they're just obviously getting acclimatised to it.
Right, considering we have had a failed attempt at a new game, and I've asked you about a ladies' game that didn't actually happen, and the fact we are blagging our way through this week's show, it seems a bit of a strange thing to raise as a talking point this week, but I wanted to talk about pundits, if we may, Stu.
Yes.
Television football pundits. I've learned the secret of how to be a great pundit, and I think this is what you need to do more of, if I can be honest.
Okay.
On the show, is that maybe if I ask you about a player, about the qualities they have, what you have to say is you have to give me 3 qualities of theirs, very quickly in short order, one after another, then have a little pause, and then say a 4th thing. So if I was to ask you to describe Tom Elliott, for instance, I'll say, what does Tom Elliott bring to the side? You could say, he's strong, good in the air, good movement, intelligent, and then keep talking. Because that's what every pundit does.
Yes.
It's such a cliche now, but it's been going on for years, but really starting to bug me. Can you not just talk normally?
So who are your favourite pundits, Dave? We went through, are there any pundits? And I suppose it's difficult, when we talk about pundits, I'm more a person that likes tactical. I'm very much a bit of a tactics person. I like tactics. I'm a bit of a hermit like that. But so people
Is hermit the right word?
Hermit, possibly. People that I look forward to listening to are people like Gary Neville.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. Gary Neville. Even when he's having his weird orgasms on the microphone.
Yeah. Thierry Henry.
No. Oh no.
I quite like his input.
No, it's Thierry Henry.
Thierry
Just
Henry.
for that reason. I can't stand Thierry Henry.
But do you not feel does he not add any value then?
No, because I don't watch him. Genuinely, I don't listen. I'm like that episode of The Simpsons where they're just like, let's not listen when Thierry Henry comes on the screen.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I look at people like BT Sport's got some good ones. So you got Owen Hargreaves.
See, I don't have BT Sports. Owen Hargreaves is a player I liked.
Yeah, quite switched on. Paul Scholes isn't frightened to be the typical I don't like Man U, even though it should be very pro Man U. Paul Scholes is very quick to criticise Man United, amongst other things. And one thing that I didn't think would be, because of where he comes from, is Steve McManaman. He's quite a clever scouser.
There is such a thing.
What so they're the ones I like, yeah.
You've gone for the sort of the pay TV guys there, haven't you? What about the BBC ITV? Like the Champions League highlights on ITV, they have Roy Keane, who's always a great watch. Just says it as it is. No messing about, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the BBC at the moment, the reason I talk about pundits as well, things are coming up now which I cannot take anymore. And one of these things, and maybe this isn't pundits to be fair, this is more commentators, but it is the phrase, what a save, what a goal. Yeah. What do those words actually mean? They don't mean anything. What a goal. No, it doesn't actually, no, that's not a sentence that makes sense. Yeah,
and I can see where you're coming from, because I tend to, if I'm watching anything, and we're talking about Match of the Day here, aren't we, or Champions League,
yeah.
Match of the Day, I will record and I will fast forward through anything. I don't want to listen to Alan Shearer.
No.
I didn't want to listen to Mark Lawrenson. They're not really of interest to me. They don't tell me anything different to what I can see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Shearer, I seriously believe Alan Shearer doesn't even look at his own tactics. I seriously believe that the Match of the Day backroom staff basically get all his clips together. Because he never tends to know what's happening with them. And they're the ones he should have surely... like if you do a bit of a different example, Sky have now done on Monday night games where Jamie Carragher has taken his... basically his touchscreen where he can move all the people about and show. And he's doing that as you talk, he's literally editing his own stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
you know it's his stuff. All right, someone may have fetched him that video bit, but he generally is moving all the stuff around and you can see him doing it. Alan Shearer just picks out things that are just, you just know he's not picked out because he just doesn't feel good. Doesn't sound clued up at all about him.
No, and again, I tend to zone out when he's speaking. So I'm not actually listening to what he is really saying. I sense he might have improved a little bit, to be fair to him. Starting to give a little bit more insight, but no, it's not great. Danny Murphy's pretty good, to be fair. I will listen to Danny Murphy, but then I like Danny Murphy. That has a lot to do with it. Big favourite of mine, even though he probably offers no tactical insight whatsoever if you actually listen to him, but he's great entertainment, is, and people are going to probably have their opinions of me lowered by hearing this, but Robbie Savage. I do enjoy listening to Robbie Savage, I must admit.
You enjoy listening to his voice or anything that comes out of him that actually sounds sensible?
I find him entertaining. He might not actually have many opinions of quality and maybe struggle to back up any of his opinions and maybe tend to be very hypocritical within the space of one show. However, for entertainment purposes, if I'm listening to 606, for instance, which I download the podcast of, listen to it on a Sunday morning, flies through. Very great listen. So I do like him. Match of the Day, though, you brought up as a whole thing as well. We've got to look at the structure of Match of the Day now, haven't we? I don't think there's anyone out there that really wants to watch an hour and a half of short highlights from every single game.
No.
The way it used to be, where you used to have like main highlights of a good 20 minutes, half an hour of one game, and then you sort of catch up with the others. For me, that was a lot better format.
Yeah, I watch Match. I think Match of the Day I record just because it's Match of the Day and it's just traditional. Saturday night viewing. But I would rather prefer, and I sometimes have watched Goals on Sunday on Sky because they sometimes will get a guest in. So I think one week, and this is probably there's Sam Allardyce on there for argument's sake, or there's Steve Bruce, Alan Pardew, people that are in the game at the moment who talk a lot more sense and you have got more respect listening to than I ever got Alan Shearer. So I'd rather. So Goal Sunday and Chris Kamara is priceless fun. But again, he's
similar to Robbie Savage, would you not say? Because you're not. Maybe on Goals on Sunday he's a little bit more, to be fair, switched on with his tactics and things. I've said to be fair again, anyway. But you tend to more watch him for his entertainment value and the way he speaks, as opposed to what he actually might be saying.
Yeah, see, Robbie Savage, I just don't. There's something that, but I think what's bugged me the most is going back. I think last year they were talking about. He made some comments that I felt really just showed him of what I thought most pampered football stars are. They were talking about the price of tickets and the price of tickets being too much. So the Premiership £30 maximum was agreed. And Robbie Savage actually come out and said he don't know how much a ticket is. He never pays to get in, and openly said it. And I'm like, so how are you ever going to be in touch with the normal football fan? You're pampered. You have no. How can you be on a radio show when you don't actually know what it is to pay to go into a football match? And I just felt he's a little bit pompous, and I want someone that can connect to a certain level. But he doesn't. He just rattles my cage, and he's Welsh. Very quickly, just while I'm going through, I'm just one person that actually is quite switched on, and I will listen to quite a lot is Jermaine Janus.
Yes, that is a good shout.
You can tell he's switched on. If I see him on Match of Day 2 normally, I would probably tend to listen to what he says. But just very quickly before I forget, Match of Day or ITV for World Cups and European Championships, how entertaining. I don't know if you, for the BBC, was it the BBC or ITV, was Slaven Bilic over the summer?
I think he might have been an ITV person, which makes a change.
How refreshing was that? And I loved it. And also, like I say, Jurgen Klopp was on Monday Night Football a little while ago, and probably the most entertaining hour I've watched of tactical awareness and stuff. Jurgen Klopp was just priceless.
Do you not think Jurgen Klopp and John Green were separated at birth?
That's a good spot, Nick, to be fair. Jurgen Klopp is priceless entertainment, and John Green is, again, in that same enthusiasm. And they both like Liverpool, don't they? So I suppose they've got a common connection.
So it's possible, actually.
Could well be.
Interesting. Chief reason this came to my mind, the pundit angle, was because I think I might have found the most pointless pundit, however, of all time. And we're talking more pointless than Andy Townsend and his tactics truck. Chris Sutton. Interesting thing about this is, watching him on the weekend, Mark Chapman, who does Match of the Day 2 and Match of the Day 2 Extra and all that sort of thing, he's got a lot of time for Mark Chapman. Okay, I think he's great. He's a good laugh. He was actually making jokes of the fact that Chris Sutton is possibly the most dull, uninteresting, I'm not even going to say pundit, I'm going to say man alive, and yet he's on TV talking football, making it sound like he hates football, he hates footballers, he hates television presenters. In fact, he just hates life.
Yeah, but paying for him to watch the game free of charge, and also paying for a living. Whether he needs the money, I don't know. Yeah, I saw him. I caught him. He was on BT Sports for their Scottish football, and I caught the end of a Scottish game. I wouldn't catch the game at all because they're boring in Scotland. But he's just sounded really, really boring. And do you know what? One thing I would say, my fiancée Lorraine, I don't know if anyone watched a match of the day highlights or the FA Cup highlights that they had over the weekend.
Yes.
I'm not sure what her name is, but you know the female commentator they've got, Jackie Oatley. Lorraine was like, "Why have they got that annoying lady? Her voice goes right through you."
She does struggle, and not because obviously she was famously the first female commentator, wasn't she, on Match of the Day? But her voice is quite grating. But
when she gets a little bit excited, she gets a little bit annoying.
We are running late, but of course, sounding great as always. See how I steal so many things from so many other shows. Nothing on this show is actually original, but we are going to attempt another original topic: Poppies.
Yes,
Poppies. Okay, so on Saturday away at Oldham, I'm anticipating we are going to have a minute's silence before the game for Remembrance Sunday. I have no idea why we do this. Remembrance Sunday has a 2-minute silence on both the actual 11th of November and on Remembrance Sunday this week, or this year, will be on the 13th of November. I cannot fathom why football seems to feel the need to have their own minute silence at every fixture up and down the country. Southampton had a fixture in October, which was because it was the closest home game they had to Remembrance Sunday, they had a minute silence to it. It's like every club needs to have a home game where they have a minute silence for Remembrance Sunday. No, you don't. We've got 2-minute silences, two-minute silences, as a nation where we stop. Football doesn't have to go above and beyond this. And the other thing that really irritates me, Leicester took it to new extremes this season by having Poppies mowed into the pitch of the design of their pitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On top of the embroidered poppies on your shirts. Now, when I go... Okay, I don't go swimming very often. But should I go swimming very often? I'm not getting a poppy stitched into my swimming trunks for the 2 weeks around November because I cannot be seen without a poppy on at all times. Why are footballers having to wear poppies on football kits?
It's interesting.
Go on. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you finished. Sorry.
I'm rambling, so you're probably best off cutting me off, to be honest.
Very quickly, with Leicester, their groundsman is probably one of the best for putting designs onto the pitch. And I get you what you mean about the poppy. But incidentally, for Champions League games, do you know that you can't actually put a different design on a pitch because UEFA don't allow it? You have to have a standard mowing of the pitch for UEFA. Well,
UEFA and FIFA have got some very, very strange laws, of which we'll come on to another one very shortly. There was a huge hoo-ha about the poppies, though, on the England and Scotland shirts, where FIFA said you can't have it because it's a political statement. Whether it's a political statement or not, and I think we've reached a compromise with the armbands like they had a few years ago. Poppies on. But why do football teams need to play 90 minutes of football with a poppy embroidered on the pitch? It's purely turned Remembrance Sunday into nothing more than a marketing tool, an advertising tool for Premier League and Championship clubs and nations to say, look at us, look how great we are, look at us supporting. It's all to boost up. They're exploiting it for their brand. So
it's a brand, isn't it? It's a brand,
and it all comes down to our money argument, of course, as everything does at the end of the day. But it's such a cheap exploitation of the whole thing. And
it devalues it. It devalues it.
Yeah.
Because you get to a stage where, I don't know about you, but you get to a stage of thinking, you should be silent, but you're thinking, there's a time and place for this. We have that already built into our way of life, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We do it every year, but why should we do it another time? Yeah, I'm with you. A little bit off subject, but probably similar along the lines of why do we have to do it? I'm getting a bit fed up at the moment of this thing because if a certain minute applies to a certain player, that you must clap at that certain minute.
Yes, that very quickly became another irritation.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit fed up with it now because I'm getting confused. I think sometimes my TV's on a time delay because they're clapping and I'm thinking nothing's happened on the pitch. So have I missed something? And then I realise, oh no, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying some of these things, people that have lost their lives, etc. I think there were some people that lost their lives abroad and stuff through football violence, and their age was the minute that's clapped. But originally, and I might be wrong on this, but originally it was done for Petrov at Aston Villa, wasn't it? His squad number, I can't remember what it was, but that bit from
19 or something.
Yeah, that was one of the very early ones. Yeah, that was the first one, and I like that. But then all of a sudden, as football fans we tend to follow like sheep. Mm-hmm. It now just tends to be all the time, and I'm glad in a way Wimbledon fans we don't do that. I'm really glad we don't do it. I'll probably just jinxed it now. We've said that.
We did something, didn't we? Somewhere recently,
did we?
We joined in with and we were the away side, and we joined in with a minute's applause or something for somebody. I can't remember what it was though.
Okay, yeah, I thought you missed that then, because I've not been doing away games, thankfully. But yeah, just as you know, it's not about a brand of stuff, but it's just like.
Oh, do you know what? Sorry to interrupt. We did it. We did do it, didn't we, for Sammy Moore's mum?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
And Joe.
I know you're going to say it's a great gesture, and we want to put a gesture forward, but again.
Could we have done it a different way?
I think there are other ways to do it, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, don't get me wrong. You see sometimes when they score a goal that they hold up a shirt, or there's loads of ways you can do of individuality rather than just following everybody because they do it. We have to do it. But yeah, it's just on a similar topic with your Poppies. But yeah, do it at the right time. Football doesn't need to keep joining in with all this stuff.
The other irritating thing I'm finding. And this has been going on for a little while now, actually. But whilst we're on the subject, whilst we're having our episode of Grumpy Old Men, which we are clearly doing at the moment, you mentioned there about players and celebrating. I think Brighton did it the other day. Was it Brighton with knockouts with the shirt?
Yes.
But there is something footballers have been doing for a little while now, which is refusing to celebrate or toning down their celebrations when they're scoring against opposing club. I do not know one set of supporters that have not celebrated their team scoring because they didn't want to upset an ex-player who's playing against them. So why does an ex-player feel like they're somehow going to upset lots and lots of other fans? I think there are certain circumstances where perhaps you wouldn't do. I think Danny Kedwell, for instance, scoring against us when it looked like we were going to get relegated towards the end of the season, that's slightly different because the goal has a wider implication outside of that 90 minutes. But generally, I think Wilfred Boney the other day, he actually celebrated when he scored for Stoke against Swansea, and I was like, hooray. Why should you rein in your celebrations? You're there to score goals. You're there to win games.
You know, on one hand, we moan when players get booked for over-celebrating or leaving the pitch or taking their shirt off, or, you know, we're trying to kill the thing. And then we're trying to make them more conscious now that, don't celebrate against that team because you played for them 20 years ago, and there might be fans that still remember it. I love celebrations. I still remember the best one was Adebayor when he scored at Man City and run the whole way back to his Arsenal fans. I love celebrations. It's the best thing about it. I hate when people get booked. The most laughable thing is when a player gets a second booking for celebrating a goal they've just scored and then gets sent off. That's happened a number of times. But yeah, let them celebrate. And I think fans sometimes are a little bit sheltered as well. We're all guilty of it because sometimes, you know, if we do get a player that celebrates a goal against us, we're like, but you shouldn't be doing that because people don't celebrate now against old teams. Hey, look. We give enough of people abuse. How many players have we abused recently who used to play for us? It's all part of the game, isn't it?
Exactly. And players should be able to give it back. Exactly. Just man up, basically.
Man up.
Some people have become far too sensitive, or they've either become far too sensitive or they've become far too selfish or greedy or spoiled that they have to have things their way and they will kick up a fuss if they don't.
Yes.
Which is ironic because we are kicking up a fuss about having things that we don't
We're having a right moan this week, haven't we? I quite like this.
Yeah, well, you're going to bring us on to the
football?
Final moan. What's the final moan? Coming back to FIFA.
Yeah, I was thinking, to be fair, as we were looking at stuff for today's podcast, I was thinking, this is upsetting Nick again, because Scotland, the old enemy who play against England on Friday night at Wembley, are not allowed to wear their tartan shirts because the white on their sleeve clashes with the England white. How pathetic. It wasn't Scotland's choice. It was actually enforced on Scotland by, you've guessed it, the white and white football authorities, FIFA.
So Scotland cannot play in their traditional blue strip, so they have to play in...
Pink.
Well, I'm jealous because I'd love a pink away kit for away games where the opposition play in blue and we cannot wear our blue kit, otherwise we should be in blue, as you know. But pink away kit would be great. But honestly, that's ludicrous. But what happened to the old rule they had at one point about teams having to play in one colour from shirt, shorts and socks because it looks better for high-definition televisions? That was at a World Cup, wasn't it, fairly recently, where
there was
a white kit. And I think Brazil sort of put their foot down and said, no, we're not changing our tradition. But, of course, the FA, great FA that we have, they sold their souls as quickly as they could. Sure, we'll go into an all-white kit.
I find it amazing, right? We said this the other week, it might have been last week, we were talking about change kits, because obviously it's one of your pet hates, and to be fair, it's one of mine, but you moan more than I do, but it's just funnier with this one. But England-Scotland at Wembley, I expect to see us beating the Scotties. Sweaties. I expect us to be beating them in their home kit. I don't want us to beat them in pink. I want them to be playing in their traditional blue tops, and I want to beat them at Wembley. I don't want to beat a team in pink.
No, definitely. It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. On that point, don't forget, I still have my list of change kit shame, but they are only for games that I have attended, of course. So far, Bradford City remain the only club on that list, but that might well be expanding shortly. That music, if you're not familiar with that, that is Dick and Dom in the Bungalow. We had to put it in this week. It's a kids' TV show from around about the turn of the millennium, I think, early 2000s. We had to put it in because that's where we stole Two Word Tango from. So we had to give an acknowledgement to Dick and Dom. You're a big fan of Dick, aren't you?
No, Dom, I am, yes.
Oh, right, sorry, I got that wrong. I always get that wrong. It's like Ant and Dec. You're a big Dec fan, but not an Ant fan.
I like them both, actually. They're quite entertaining as a partnership.
Well, that's good to know. Poleon Go this week. Don Poleon, he has travelled quite a long distance from his last destination, which was Barnet. He has a choice of metro stations to alight from on the train to get to this stadium. There are two that are pretty equal distance apart. He's gone to St. Peter's. Do you know of that station, Stu?
The metros, I can only think, are normally in Manchester. Well, yeah, Metro is in Manchester, isn't it?
So the Metro is, but metro stations can be other places as well. Do you want a second clue?
Yeah, that's bugging me up, that is.
Okay, he has got to the stadium. It's quite a large stadium. Pretty big stadium, actually. There are two notable monuments outside. One is a statue of a former FA Cup winning manager. And the other monument is a large red wheel.
Red wheel? The only few wheels I can think of is Hartlepool have wheels, don't they? They have the wheel as well there. It's not, no, it's obviously not Hartlepool, don't blame. A red wheel. Up north, red, Middlesbrough?
Not Middlesbrough, not Hartlepool, but stay in that area, Stu, as I give you a final question. The stadium was opened in 1997.
Oh.
And here, just to help you out, here's your favourite. It's an anagram.
Oh, great.
So the stadium was opened in 1997, and Don Poleon has noticed that an anagram of the name of the stadium is, and there were several, but one he picked out was Made Fights Lout.
I think I may have got it, because I think if you're telling me to stay in the area, so that makes it a little bit easier, and I'm thinking I missed out on going to this stadium before it moved, and that's around about the time I remember, because I was gutted that I didn't go to the old Roker Park. So, therefore, Stadium of Light.
There we go. Well done.
Do you know what? That's one of the stadiums that I'm so gutted I never went to. It was supposed to be an amazing, the old Roker Raw, they used to say, didn't they? And I missed out. We played up there. I think we beat them 1-0. I think Dean Holsworth scored up there, if I remember properly, in the final game. I might have wrong. Mike's here will tell me, sure, if I'm wrong. But, never. The new ground didn't really impress me too much, but Roker Park was supposed to be amazing.
One old ground that I'm gutted I missed out on was Kingstonian's old ground at Richmond Road.
Really?
No. Oldham on the weekend. League game. Oldham struggling a little bit. Have been in League One. I think I'm right in saying that they, of all the Football League teams, have had the longest spell in the same division of any other team. They must have been in League One. They've been in League One, or the equivalent of it, for about 20 seasons now, having never gone up or gone down.
Really?
Yes. They have been in there forever. Like, do you remember how they used to call, like, what is now League Two? They called it the Rochdale division.
Yeah, they have it.
League One should be the Oldham division.
Yeah, you're obviously right now, because I'm just trying to think. Yeah, they've not been to the Championship. I can't think for God knows how long. Probably since the days when Joe Royal was there, when they had that massive cup run, didn't they? Did they ever get to Championship then?
Yeah, they were in the Premier League, weren't they? And then they fell out of that. They fell out of the Championship fairly quickly after that, I think, and they've just been stuck at the third tier.
Yeah, the old days of John Marshall up front on the old plastic pitch. That's going back a bit, isn't it?
Did he have the mullet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Andy Ritchie up front as well?
It was.
They had a good team, didn't they? The old plastic pitch.
Yeah. Got to a cup final, League Cup final, FA Cup semi-final.
Showing our age there, aren't we?
I saw them in an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Man United.
Did you really?
94. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they were doing well, weren't they?
Cousin's an Oldham fan, so I'll be visiting or catching up with him on the weekend.
Good. Yeah, so Oldham, do you know what? Oldham, they're 22nd. They have only won 3 games all season. So, although only won 3 games all season, they've won 2 in the last 5. So, it's one of those, really. I look at their squad. Before the season started, I almost positive I tipped them to be relegated because they were basically everyone was picking off their players. We did it when we picked up Poleon from them, didn't we? So he's going back to his old club this weekend. But they had a lot of players. I think if I look here, they had in the region of about 13, 14 players out and the same in. So a whole new team, all 3 transfers and stuff like that. So the only player I would say that I look and think decent was the old player that scored against us for Palace in pre-season, which is Freddie Ladapo, who's on loan until the 2nd of January. He's decent for them. He scored the other night in their checker trade game at Blackburn Rovers. So I'm worried. I'm not as much worried on Saturday about Oldham, more worried about our form at the moment. I think we are showing some signs of not being at levels we are. I don't know if you caught, but Neil Ardley alluded to the fact that he had heard from his coaching team that the team at Bury on Saturday hadn't warmed up to the levels that he wants them to. I'm just worried whether we're just settling on our laurels a little bit, and we need to get out of that habit very quickly.
Nothing like an away game up north in November in the cold to probably prove that point where we do need to be on it, because these are the sort of games where we'll slip up on. I do not want to worry anyone, but we haven't lost in the league away from home since the opening day, so we are probably due. I'd rather get it out of the way now, if it's going to happen, than perhaps in a month's time, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at the sort of weird stats I look at, but Oldham have only won 1 game against a team in the top half all season. Do you want to have a random guess who that is?
They've only lost 1 or only won 1.
Only won 1 game against a team in the top half.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me have a think. Only in the top half, and that would be against Sheffield United.
Not far off it, Scunthorpe.
Oh, really? The team top of the league? It was, because that was their first defeat of the season, was it not? For Scunthorpe?
Yeah, so interesting. If you flip it around, for performances against teams in the bottom half of the league, we have had 5 wins. So if you flip it around, we tend to do well at the moment against teams in the bottom parts of the league. So I think I want us to basically go in there and win the game. I think we should be more than capable of winning that. I'm just a little bit concerned whether we are. I just wonder whether we've gone back into a little bit of a lull. And we need to get them out of that. And I'm sure Neil Ardley will be on Saturday, and then we must go into the Bury game in form, because we've got a cracker of a potential second round game if we get through.
We have been drawn away to either Westfield or Curzon Ashton. We don't want to preempt or jinx anything going on in the FA Cup, of course, but I am pretty confident we will win the replay against Bury.
I am.
Generally very confident when it comes to these first round replays over the years. We're going to assume as well that Curzon Ashton should beat Westfield. It does sound like they were pretty unlucky not to have done in the first tie. Westfield's being the lowest ranked team left in the competition.
Yeah, well, they're level 9, aren't they? And Curzon are
level
Conference
42.
North.
Oh, right, sorry.
Although what I would say, though, is that it's really weird, the team names, isn't it? Because one base is a shopping centre, and the other one is a HMV cinema, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, you are right.
What weird names. What weird names for places. The romantic in me would love to go to Westfields. I don't know if you saw the highlights from that game on the weekend.
Yes.
But what I loved the most was it reminded me of the old days in the combined counties, because you could see kids playing on park pitches behind the fence.
I love that. Just literally on the other side of the fence. Not a car park, nothing interrupting it. Literally backing right onto the fence. People taking their dogs for a walk.
Yep.
Kids are on their bicycles. It's just hilarious.
Loved it.
That's the greatest cup competition in the world is taking place 10 yards from you. And you're just like, yeah.
Love it.
Whatever.
So I'd love, me personally, I'd love us to beat Bury, which I think we can and we will.
Would you like us to beat Bury, would you?
Yes.
Okay, right. Just clear that one up.
I don't want to jinx it too much, but I'm confident we're going to win. I'm confident. I always am with FA Cup replays at home. I'm always confident. But I will be hoping Westfield get through.
Problem is that guaranteed TV game. There's not a great deal elsewhere. Sheffield United and Bolton have a chance of being chosen, which is random for a second round tie for two league teams, but it's slim pickings as a general rule. I'm assuming we're going to be on TV. I'm pretty confident we will be, which means a potential Friday night or Monday night, which rules me out of any chance of going. So I'm going to be gutted if I can't go.
Well, yeah, because Curzon is Manchester, isn't it? Great Manchester. Yeah. And Westfields, I believe, is Northampton way. Is that right?
I thought it was Herefordshire.
Oh, is it? It's close, isn't it? That part of the country.
I could be wrong. I'll Google it quickly for you. If you just fill for me on this most professional show ever. So
I reckon you've got more chance of probably getting to Westfields than you have of Manchester. Although Manchester's got a better link, hasn't it, with the Virgin trains through to Manchester. But I think knowing how the games are normally picked, BT Sports will always tend to pick a romantic giant killing fixture. And they normally have, what do they have this year? They had the Monday night, didn't they? The Sunday, and they had Mersham, the Saturday afternoon, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
So I think you've got more chance of BT Sports picking up our game if we get through against either Westfields or Curzon. And you might be right, mate.
Yeah, if it's a Saturday morning, that's fine. I'll manage that just about, but we shall see.
So, yeah, it could be a cracking week. Could be an FA Cup second round game, followed by a second round in a Checkatrade Trophy, and then finishing off by going to some ridiculous place in Buckinghamshire and kicking the ball everywhere, especially into their nets all game.
All of this will be rendered pointless, of course, on next week's show when we've
got knocked out.
Yeah, but Westfields, for what it's worth, they are in Hereford, indeed, Herefordshire, okay? Updates from both games will be on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast, at 9YRS Podcast on Instagram as well. We just ask you to keep spreading the word about our podcast. We hope we haven't put too many people off this week with our ridiculous ranting, which has gone so far over our time, Stu, that I am dreading this edit, but...
Yes.
Got to be done. All the good stuff will probably be cut out of this show now. Just be left with two grumpy old men complaining.
Even better.
Well, thanks for joining me anyway, Stu.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed it this week. You might be surprised to hear. And that just leaves us to say goodbye and hope you'll join us next week. I'm not sure if we've got any guests lined up for next week, Stu. I haven't really got anything in place. I'm going to try and get in touch maybe with Joey Barton, although I understand he's pretty busy at the moment with his football stuff. See if he joins us next week. We'll see you then.